just 4 electoral votes away from winning the presidency, but he has already declared himself a winner. Delivering a victory speech, he thanked Americans. He even called Elon Musk a star. Donald Trump has retained North Carolina and its 16 electoral delegates, and more importantly, he has wrested Georgia from the Democrats. Out of the 7 swing states, viewers, he has already won 3, which includes Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina. And here's what he said at the victory speech.
We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And to every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. Let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon. Now he is. Now he's an amazing guy. We were sitting together tonight. You know, he spent 2 weeks in Philadelphia and different parts of Pennsylvania campaigning. You have something called Starlink, is that right? Yes, I do. What the hell is it? He said, it's a communication system that's very good. I said, Elon, they need it really, really badly in North Carolina. Can you get it? He had that there so fast, it was incredible. So, and it was great. It saved a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives. But he's a character, he's a special guy, he's a super genius. We have to protect our geniuses. We don't have that many of them. We have to protect our super geniuses. I want to thank, but it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And to every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
And joining us on the broadcast today is Kamal Sibal, former Foreign Secretary. Sir, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. He promised to make America great again, and now he is promising golden age for America. It is being seen as one of the greatest political comebacks for any leader. And here we are talking about Donald Trump in American history after he lost to Joe Biden in 2020. What do you make of this comeback, and what, in your opinion, resonated from Trump's campaign with Americans?
Well, you know, all this while, the polls in America were saying that it would be a very, very close race. And there were people who believed strongly that Kamala Harris would win. In the end, Trump has won, which means that one should not always rely on polls. Number one. Number two, obviously, the message that Trump was giving to the Americans resonated a lot with not only his supporters, but those who are supposed to be undecided or independent voters. And the themes that he raised actually echoed well with their concerns. One, of course, the whole issue of illegal migration, which is enormous in numbers. And it would seem that the Democrats have used this illegal migration for vote bank politics, of the kind that we are used to also a little bit in India. This is changing the complexion of society in the United States. I think there's also a pushback against wokeism because the core of Trump supporters reject this kind of erosion of the nature, culture, and complexion of society in the United States. There is also there's also been perhaps a feeling that whatever Trump's pluses and minuses, he was being targeted by the Democrats. They were using all means at their disposal, the justice system, in trying to prevent him from becoming a candidate in an effort to jail him. And of course, there were attempts actually to assassinate him more than once.
Yes.
And I think this would have also, been a factor in the public support for him, the kind that we have seen.
Right.
And then his message was very simple and direct. He was appealing to the people's concerns more directly, whereas Kamala Harris was talking in generalities. There were issues like women's rights and abortion and all that. But I think compared to the kind of direct message that Trump was giving on the issues that the Americans are feeling very concerned about, the middle class having lost their prosperity or generally rebuilding prosperity, bringing manufacturing back home, making sure that the U.S. economy rebounds,
right.
Which would bring back, and then of course, things like we do in India, tax cuts. Now, whether what effect it has on inflation and especially on fiscal prudence, we're going to be seen. But these are the kind of things that the public reacts to. So all said and done, I think it's a huge victory for a man who was either eliminated judicially or eliminated physically to have come back and won the presidency of the United States.
Absolutely. And sir, it was an opportunity for Americans to script history in two ways, this current U.S. elections. One, to, see if we are going to see Donald Trump coming back to the White House. And second, they also had an opportunity to elect the first woman president in its entire history. And do you think America perhaps is not ready for that? Because all the right issues were picked by Kamala Harris. For example, the issue of abortion. She had the A-listers of Hollywood supporting her in a big way in all the rallies, talking about women empowerment, democracy. All the right words, as they say, were being used during the campaign rallies. So what is your opinion on this, sir?
Firstly, she was not an adequate candidate. I mean, let's admit it. She was not really equipped for the job. Now, if there had been, and after all, women have been elected in Europe and elsewhere, including in our own country. If a woman has that personality and the background and the experience and the intellectual caliber and the political sense, she would get elected. Even today, she could get elected. After all, they elected a black president because he was pretty smart and intellectual. It's a different matter that his record, with hindsight, may not be as good as the promise was in the beginning. But nevertheless, he had those qualities. Now, if Kamala Harris had those qualities, I think she would have won. But she was parachuted at the last minute by the Democratic bigwigs, by Obama and his wife, by Clinton and his wife, because they couldn't support Biden anymore to continue to be a candidate for the presidency because he was physically unfit and mentally unfit to do so. Now, in the last 2-3 months, to project her as a candidate when she had never won a single primary in her life, never her public support was being tested. Now, and then on top of it, she's not able to communicate well. She doesn't have any capacity to articulate her thoughts. She speaks in platitudes. She needs the prompter to be able to say something. They made sure that she was prepared for every encounter that she had so that she couldn't make any mistake. And as a result of that, votes may be lost. So I think all that ultimately must have also figured in the calculations of the electorate, and not simply the fact that because she's a woman, therefore she has to get elected. It had to be a quality woman, if you like. The fact that she kept laughing all the time, hiding her nervousness and her incapacity to actually respond adequately to the questions that were posed to her, maybe many people felt that we can't hand over the country to a woman who would be unprepared and who would then be, in the eyes of some, particularly a puppet in the hands of forces behind the scenes.
Right. Interesting. My colleague Shrinja Chaudhary also joins us on the broadcast. Now, sir, I have another question, and this is about India. You understand what happens at the diplomatic high table. So I want to now know from you, this Trump 2.0, Trump Sarkar, Dobara, what would it mean for Indo-US relations? Of course, we are all aware of this interesting bonhomie between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Donald Trump. In the first term we have seen, and after that also the way he talks about Prime Minister Modi. But what would it mean? 3 or 4 key issues that we need to be keep an eye on.
The most important is the economic issue. Now, if Lighthizer, who was the USTR before, if he comes back into the administration, they say he might be Treasury Secretary. He's an absolute economic hawk. Absolute, uncompromising. He has that sense of American power, that America is economically strong enough to do what it likes. And Trump himself has spoken about us as tariff king, and he has that in his mind. Although he praises Modi personally, he likes him, there's no doubt.
He calls India the biggest abuser when it comes to tariffs.
Right. So therefore, something will happen. And he's also announced there'll be 10% or 20% tariffs on exports from every country to the United States. We'll have to see how this pans out. Then the WTO. As it is, Biden and company, they eviscerated the WTO, the dispute settlement mechanism. And Trump, in any case, it doesn't believe in this in this kind of an organization and free trade agreements and everything else, and keep the U.S. markets open, or treat the U.S. market as more open than any other market, and this and that, not accept the WTO discipline. That will have repercussions for us. He wants to export agricultural goods to us from America. That will create a problem for us. So these are on, and then there is this IPEF, the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which the Biden administration had promoted, and we had joined it. Now, I don't know what will happen to that. And more importantly, the ICET, IndexX, and all the other things on the technology side that we've agreed to with the Biden administration, which are very important. The thing is that the NSA of the United States was steering this along with the NSA on the Indian side. Now, will there be ownership of this in the new Trump administration? We'll have to see. Then, and the last point is, the last time he was in power, God knows it took a year and a half to fill up a key post in the US administration. And this time he said that I made mistakes. I put people in the administration who were working against me. So I suppose if there is a great delay in manning key posts in the US administration, this will slow down the progress that we have made on many, many issues. With regard to China, we will actually be able to work together more importantly. And that kind of relationship in terms of the threats that both countries face from a rising China, that kind of cooperation will continue. So there are positives and negatives. And finally, we'll have these Blinken types and others off our backs on human rights and backsliding of democracy and minorities and stuff like that. I don't think Donald Trump administration, the White House, is going to trouble us on these issues.
Will this bring any change, this Trump 2.0 at the White House, in the ongoing conflicts around the world? It's been quite some time. We haven't really heard, clearly how he looks at what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Ukraine. But what do you expect from him?
Well, on Ukraine, he has made very clear that this war has to be wound down. He's boasted that if he had been president, this war would have never started. And that if he's re-elected, he'll be able to resolve this very quickly. Now, that's easier said than done. So the point is, if whatever ideas he has don't appeal to the Russians, what will he do? After all, in his last presidency, he was also boasting that he was the person who imposed the most sanctions on Russia. So will he go down that road? I don't know. Secondly, I think Europe, I've been seeing messages from people I know in Europe in high positions. They're terrified at the thought that Trump has won. They think that there are going to be massive problems in Europe in terms of security, economics, and what have you. And this is going to directly affect Europe's support for the Ukraine war, because without America's support and cover that.
Right.
So that is also going to be, and finally,
yes,
in terms of the Middle East and Iran, Trump, as you know, is very pro-Israel. He's the one who took some major steps against international resolution, UNGA resolutions, on shifting the embassy, United States embassy to Jerusalem. And he's the one who walked out of the nuclear accord with Iran. And now that the things have heated up so much in this area, it is unpredictable. I think we should keep our fingers crossed that he doesn't go down the wrong road on this one.
All right, Mr. Kamala Harris, appreciate you joining us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective on this historic moment for America, with Donald Trump all set to enter the White House. He's just 4 electoral votes away currently from winning the race to the White House. Thank you, sir, for speaking with us here on Times Now. Srinjoy, you heard what Mr. Kamala Harris had to say. Of course, all the countries, the world was also looking forward to the outcome of this very important, historic U.S. elections. Now, the question is, how will it really impact what is happening around the world? What is your sense? Because there are conflicts that are going on. And for India specifically, the relationship between India and Canada has deteriorated in the last few months specifically. So do you think some kind of a change is expected there with Trump coming in?
Well, as far as bilateral ties are concerned, as former Foreign Secretary said, that the ties are so close currently. They are on defense, economic issues, space. They want an Indian astronaut in the ISS, high-tech equipment, then all these new technologies like AI and quantum. The ties are so close now. It's being said in New Delhi that regardless of who is president and who is prime minister, the ties will continue. And let's be honest. The relationship that India and America have today wasn't even imaginable in 1998. It wasn't even, no one even imagined that India and America would be as close as it is, with Quad and Malabar and all of that. So, yes, there will be bumps. As Foreign Secretary said, Sybil said that, yes, this tariff issue is a problem. Because if they raise tariff, for all countries, including friendly countries like India, then this is going to hurt Indian exports. And then Trump has a transactional ability. He will say that, okay, you buy our stuff, and then we will do what we will do. I remember just before he came, the Americans sent a message, okay, we know that you're going to buy such and such a piece of equipment, but announce it while the president is there. And that is exactly what happened. So that transactionalism is something we will have to live with. Also, the fact that he's very strong on raising tariffs. Both issues have to be dealt with. Of course, the fact that he and PM have a very good relationship is a positive. But there are these bumps. But you can argue that even 2 very good friends, even the 2 best of friends, can have differences on issues.
Absolutely.
And this is exactly what India will have to face with a Trump presidency. There are problems even now with the Biden
and we'll see how those are eventually negotiated. Trade and immigration definitely remain very, very contentious issues as far as Trump 2.0 and the Indian government is concerned. Srinjoy, I request you to stay on with us. We have to slip into a very, very short break. We'll be back with more on the story on the other side. Stay with us.